a second
I'm
ago.
trying to get the stream up, actually.
What you said to me a second ago went out live.
Did it? Ooh.
Yeah. We're so rubbish at these intros.
It's all right.
We really
It's
are.
not a problem. It's not like we've been doing this for a long time.
Years.
Let's start it officially, because
man.
the Fret Talk listeners will be like brokenhearted if I do not start it. Welcome, podcast listeners. You are here with your host, Mr. Budget Pedal Chap. That's me. You are also here with Lee. Say hi, Lee.
Hi.
Hey, that took longer than it should have. It's episode number 179 of the Fret Talk podcast, and it is live, the first live one of 2021. I mean, this year's going well already, isn't it? This one. So.
Yeah, I saw a great meme the other day. It was like, well done, December 39th, 2020.
That's it, yeah. That's it, yeah. It does seem like a continuation, but hey-ho, things, as they say, as D. Ream said, things can only get better. So, we are holding you to that.
You know who was in D. Ream, didn't
Brian Cox, a professor of not only technical scienciness, but a professor of getting down. So
a professor of looking younger than he is.
Why? How old is he?
Dude's in his 50s.
No way.
Yeah,
get out of here.
I strongly urge every listener and every viewer to tune into the Infinite Monkey Cage. It's a show that he does with Robert Ince, a comedian called one of the two previous things, and they have a comedian plus a couple of scientists on there every week, and it goes out as a podcast. It's fantastic. You learn something and you laugh your bollocks off.
Isn't Robert Ince a football player? Robin,
I wouldn't know.
It rings a bell.
Robin Ince. I believe it's Robin
so.
Ince.
I mean, if it's football related, and I know it can only be like a very brief period in the 90s, because I historically I have not been a massive football fan, and for you American listeners, soccer. I've not been a soccer fan. I don't like sports pretty much. I mean, that's largely as to why I'm a musician, because that's the alternative, isn't it? You either...
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I like sport. I just really don't like football.
Yeah.
And usually the sport that I like is motorsport.
Yes.
Because I'm a big motorbike fan. So, yeah. And rugby's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the start of like 2019, me and the missus said, we're going to get into a sport. And we watched a rugby match and went, this is essentially just people having a scrap and there's a ball. So this seems cool. And then we didn't watch it again. So, I mean, we tried.
But yeah, I love it. This is just basically people like hurting each other, but they shake hands afterwards. Whereas football's the opposite way around. People get almost close enough to hurt someone, and the other person falls down and cries.
That's it. They pretend to get hurt, and then it's a lot of theatrics, isn't it?
To hurt someone. Yeah, I just cannot. I can't do it. I simply cannot do it.
But anyway, talking about football and our love for the beautiful game, we've decided to do a little kind of running football themed guitar watch-a-majig, and that is the Pedal World Cup. So we are kicking off the Pedal World Cup this week, which if you stay tuned in, you will find out a little bit more about. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's kind of warm this podcast up and start with our usual. That's it, Lee. Give it a good rub. Give the podcast a good rub. Not that kind of rub. That's it. So yeah, let us know what you've been up to, Lee. And I'm just also checking our stream on we. Oh, that.
Okay, so I'd like to say hi to Mihail, who's on YouTube, and Andy on Facebook. Let's have a look who else we've got here. Chris, my brother, who's also on Facebook. It's nice to see you. Tony DeGraw from Guitar Pedals, he's here as well. We were talking earlier about this World Cup pedal malarkey. And he was like, "How have you gone about it?" And I'm like, "Oh." And he's like, "I don't know anything about football." I'm like,
Well,
so I was like, "Just tune in and watch, and I'm sure Mr. Budget Pedal Chap, Pedal Tap will explain it." But before I say anything else, I've got to say Happy New Year to one and all.
Indeed. I mean, as much shit as we've talked about this, it's gonna be a good one. It is gonna be a good one because things are happening, and hopefully by the end of this year, places will be open. We'll be able to go out and socialise, and things will just be a little bit more normal, and we'll appreciate it more as well. Having all of this time where we were restricted and couldn't do it. To that, Tony, I will be telling us all about the Pedal World Cup. The rules are very, very simple. And yeah, I pretty much masterminded it. So,
is it? Don't talk about Pedal World Cup.
That's a slightly dated movie reference, but no. We'll talk about it a little bit more about it later. Okay, right, Lee, you have been you've been getting yourself powered this week. You've been talking about power supplies. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. So you asked me what I've been up to. I've got to be fair. During the break, I stayed away from everything gear related. The only thing I touched gear wise over the break was my Katana Airs and my Strat. I didn't come out to the studio apart from on one occasion, and I just left everything apart because I deal with pedals day in day out, like 365 24/7, and it becomes a bit much. I haven't really had a holiday in a couple of years either, so and even when I was going away on holiday, the last holiday I did, I was still writing articles and stuff like that during the holiday. So yeah, I needed a break, so I went and had a break, and like I say, I still played a bit of guitar, but I didn't really think about pedals or anything like that. And now I'm back to it. I'm like, oh yes, hello my pedals, and I feel fresh again. So that's really, really good. Just before Christmas, I was in talks with a few companies about some bits and pieces, and a company approached me, and we had a chat. And they're an Italian company. I'd never, ever, ever heard of them before. They're called Jad and Freer. And Jad and Freer. FREER.
Okay.
And they apparently they're quite big over in Italy, but they're not very well known over here. And that's why we were talking, because they want to get better known in Europe and then out to the US, and obviously we've got quite a good reach.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's have a look at what you do. And I was so blown away by what they had to offer. They have this amp, which it reminds me of like a Mesa, where like the clean channel is the sweetest clean channel from a Fender, whereas on a Mesa the gain channels are can be like Marshally and stuff like that. And with them, the gain channels are like a Sun amp, a Sun Model T. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, wicked. That's awesome. If you want something for Doom, that's the one.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was their amp. It's all like you got MIDI control over all of it as well, including the knobs and these sort of things. And that is something they've had on, something they've been making for years, or for some time. They've just started pushing utility products, and the power supply that they've created is out of this world. It will basically run anything. All right, you get 15 outputs on it.
That's
What's the average amount of milliamps you get out of an output on a power amp, on a power
I
supply?
mean, usually it's about 500.
Yeah, that's it. You usually have about 3 that run at 500, and you'll have maybe 2 amps going into it. So that's 500 milliamps is half an amp for anyone. 1 amp is 1,000 milliamps. And something like a Strymon pedal will run about 500 milliamps to start it up, and then it will continue to run at about 400 milliamps. But new pedals are coming through, like the HX Stomp and the GT Core, and so on and so forth, and they need a lot more power. And some of these older pedals are AC, and so on and so forth. So what they've done is they've done it with 15 outputs, 1,600 milliamps per output,
Not bad.
24 amps total complete power from this. And you can also customize what your outputs are. So you can have them as 9 volts, 18 volts, these sort of things.
Cool.
But they have these modules that they've just created that come with them. They're noise reduction, so like hum cancellers as well. But when you plug them in, you can change it from DC to AC from them, and as well as changing it from DC to AC on because they've got one called the Edison and one that's called the Tesla. I think it's the Tesla that you can change it from DC to AC, and you get a choice of voltages as well, which you can switch through. And I believe that one also has the polarization change as well, so you can change it from center negative to center positive, and that's just on one of the modules. And then the other module is basically the same, but still run it at DC. So if you want to run an AC output, you can. A DC output at 18 volts or 24 volts or 15 volts or whatever, you can. And that has the polarization swap as well. So I've never seen a power supply as powerful as that. Never.
During that chat, I just noticed I've not turned me. I've not pressed record on my digital audio workstation, so we've missed the start. It's fine. It's fine. Click record. We'll sync it up later. So we'll get there. We'll get there, Lee. We didn't do it. It's fine. For the podcast listeners,
it's the first one of the year.
I'm gonna have to record the. I'm gonna have to record the intro again. You've missed out the first kind of little bit. It was. Oh yeah, hands up. Oh dear. So this is the first time that's ever happened. Lee, I can't hear you now.
I'm gonna say
your audio's gone.
You can't. Oh no.
Lee,
I bet it has as well.
Your audio has gone away. Lee. I can't hear a word you say. Lee. Come on, fix it, mate.
Okay,
come on.
1 sec.
You can do it. There we go. Perfect.
Is that any good? Good.
Do you like my song?
Cool. Oh man. Oh dear. I'm just I don't know what to say.
Happy New Year.
It is. I've just realised that the whole all the little corrections I've was doing have all popped up on the live stream as well.
Yeah.
How did we forget that? We're so religious about
we
that.
are. I put my hands up to it. I've done so much faffing trying to get this room sorted. I've had a little bit of a move around, you see, and I was so focused on getting everything plugged in that I forgot to press the big red button that we press before every podcast. So there you go. What I'll do for the for the podcast listeners.
Sorry, go on.
I'll record the intro after we've done this and then stick it back on the start. As a disclaimer, just to say that we done goofed.
Our good friend Greg, Greedy Greg of Greed Tone here, has just said you need an audio engineer because he happens to be an audio engineer as well. Bloody good one as well. Hi Greg, Happy New Year to you, mate.
Yeah. I mean, considering it, we're like 179 episodes in, and this is the first time. I mean, we've had to record episodes twice, and I think there was one that we've had to record a third time because the audio just didn't work. It was just like horrible and grainy and just not worth putting out. This is the first time we actually forgot to press record, so I mean there is that. Oh dear. Right.
Okay. So that's what I've been up to. I'm sure we can give the podcast listener like a semi high quality level of audio up until that point, and then it can kick in. Do you remember like on Wizard of Oz how like it all started in black and white, and then when she landed in Oz, it all came into Technicolor?
Yeah. The problem is I weren't recording the stream either. I was recording nothing. So no, they can't. Unless I rip the audio from this live cast, which I'm not going to do. It's all right. You didn't miss much. So I suppose what I've been up to this week, again, like the same as yourself, pretty much, is that over Christmas I've down tools because I've been hitting the No Talk or Tone videos every week for pretty much a year. They didn't actually stop. I'd had some recorded that I could put out as well, so they didn't stop. But I had like a 2-week break from it. I've also been doing other video series for Pedal Boards of Doom and doing the Pickpocket series as well. So I've been a busy boy. I just thought I'm going to down tools. I'm going to enjoy a bit of family time and come back to it nice and recharged. And that's pretty much what I've done. Over that little break, I was playing about with kind of graphic design and a bit of the computery stuff. So I've done a little bit of an overhaul on the Pickpocket, the aesthetic of the Pickpocket series. So that's become a little bit more kind of cartoony looking and a bit more fun, which is pretty cool.
Looks really good, man. I like that. It does look really smart.
Yeah. Took some inspirations from like some other kind of logos and thought, you know what, that's where I'm going in with that. And the first video in like that has the new styling is it features this that I bought, which is, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's auto-focusing. No, it's not, is it? So I bought a tin of wooden picks from Timber Tones. They were doing a little January sale, and I did an unboxing in what you get that comes with the pack, and a little bit of information about the picks as well. And if you do if there's any other picks in there that you think, oh yeah, I'd like to hear that, just drop it down in the comments, and I'll get to putting that in the list of things to do. I also had a chat with my good friend Mr. Yeomans, who's
live at the moment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yeomans. He came down and he took his hot coals back, which all good things have to come to an end, I suppose. However, he did. He brought down this. Chung. Here you go. See that? That is
blurry as F.
Yeah, here we go. Is that better? Because I think I've set my camera to manual focus, which doesn't help. So this is one of his new ones. This is the Preacher Drive. So hopefully this Friday, or it'll be last Friday when this podcast comes out, you will hear this on the No Talkable Tone. I'm really excited. I've not had a chance to plug it in just yet, but I had the prototype and I was well excited about that. So yeah, very cool.
One thing we've kicked off on Pedalboards of Doom this week was the best pedals of 2020, and we've broken it into categories. And I should talk about the winner of it was best. I think it was best utility pedal, best utility product, because of 2020, and the Captor X one. Yeah, great little bit of kit that. So yeah, our friends over at Two Notes, they were very pleased about it. And we will have a winner of, I think it was best drive or so. I can't remember what's going on at the moment. Yeah, no, I can't remember. There's best pedal of 2020 or something is going out.
They're all being voted for in the Pedalboards of Doom group at the moment, aren't they? So there's like a poll being put up, which is really cool. Like, because when we did the top 5 most influential pedals, that was one of the comments that came through, is that this would be really cool if the Pedalboards of Doom group decided on what they thought were the top 5 influential. And though we couldn't like amend it for them, this is kind of going along with that suggestion. So it's really cool that comment kind of permeated into our thoughts, and then we've been able to come out with some of the top things of 2020.
Yeah, it's something we wanted to do last year. We just didn't have the time. We were all so busy. So we're doing it, and it's lovely that it's not us choosing it. We should do our own choice, obviously, and we did speak about that sort of thing towards the end of the year. But this category is best always on pedal. And I didn't choose these categories. The first poll we did was, what are the categories? What are the categories that you want? And I'm going through them one at a time. So best always on pedal of 2020, and it looks like the Walrus Mako D1 is going to win, although the Catlin is a close second. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll keep mentioning them as they release, pretty much. And it kind of ties in with our idea for Pedalboards of Doom Fret Talk World Cup of Pedals as well. It's similar idea. However, this one we've chosen all of the pedals this time around. And what we're going to do is got to work a bit like it's going to work a bit like the Football World Cup, as we were mentioning. We've got 8 groups. Each group has 4 pedals in. And what we're going to do, every week, we're going to release 2 of those groups. And we're going to give you, in the chat, we're going to give you the opportunity to choose your top 2 of each group.
Oh, sorry, but we've just had a question on YouTube. What do you guys think of the Mojo Mojo, considering order tomorrow? Miguel.
Yeah.
This man over here is the world's biggest advocate of that pedal. He loves it, and he says it's the best pedal ever made. Go get it, boy.
Definitely. I mean, considering how much they're going for these days, like, they're not a great deal of money. You might as well, like, even if you try it and you're like, it's not for me. The price alone, you're like, yeah, why not? But I love it, and there are so many people out there who do love it as well. So I would suggest definitely going for it. Going like swinging back around to it, we've got two of the groups today. We're going to do Group A and we're going to do Group E.
Question. Oh, okay, you're going to answer it. Go on.
What was your question?
Well, since I know nothing about football and these sort of things, why Group A and Group E?
I was literally, because I've done A, B, C, D on one line, and then I've done E, F, G, and H on another. I literally chose the first column rather than the first two in the row. There's no reason for it. I just did because when I put the groups together as well, the Group 1 and Group 2 have got some similarities, so I didn't want it to be too samey.
Okay. Adam Yeomans has said Captor X is the balls, and I would tend to agree with him. I've only got a Captor and the Cab M, but that is what the Captor X is essentially. It's them two put together. So I've got
the equivalent
exactly anyway. I wish I had a Captor X as well, and then I could run them both in stereo. But yeah, woe is me. Let's get on with this World Cup malarkey, because this should be
indeed
fun.
So what we're going to ask you to do in the comments for like the next maybe like 10 minutes or so, just put the two from each group that you want to go through, and then the two that get the most votes will go through to the tournament stage, and then from there on it's like a 1v1. So whoever goes through knocks the next one out. At the moment, top. So
do we get to argue?
So we're gonna talk about them a little bit now, but essentially we'll get a vote each, but the viewers get a vote as well. So if the viewers outnumber us, that assuming we agree, so if the viewers outnumber us, their votes go through. So the first round is, so we've got the Boss DS1, iconic, One Trick Pony, some would argue, but iconic, orange distortion. We've got the DOD 250, which is kind of classic preampy make gooderer. We've got the Boss SY1, which is a bit of a newcomer, but possibly a game changer. And we've got the Digitech Whammy. I didn't go for like a specific model of the Whammy because that is contentious in and of itself, but they all pretty much do the same thing. So choose your favorite Whammy. That'll be the one.
I'm just looking to bring up the options on. Oh, what just happened? I'm just looking to bring up the options. I just downloaded it, so I'll be bringing them up on screen in just a second.
Okay. So out of those four, for your money, what are you going for, Lee? What do you think you're going to go for?
Do you know what? Give me a second. Let me just edit this so we're only showing one side, because we're only do one at a time.
Just had Mark in the comments saying, "What is football?" Mark Wall.
Who's that?
Honestly, Mark, probably not worth worrying about.
I could say, but I'd probably swear a lot. Probably far too much.
Here we go. There we go. Oh, you've cropped it as well, you saucy devil. So
I just said
we've got Boss
that.
DSY, we've got DOD 250, we've got the SY1 and the Digitech Whammy. Out of those four, what you going for? You get a choice of two. You do, yeah.
Oh, really?
Bottom two. What? So SY1 and Whammy.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolute. Ooh. Okay. I'm going the opposite. I'm going DS1 and DOD 250. I think DS1 is iconic. Like, fully deserves a place on any. I mean, we talked about it in the top 5 influential, didn't we?
But if it came out today, people would be like, "What are they doing?"
Like It is a one-trick pony. You've got a very narrow.
It's not.
It's what?
It's not.
It does one sound. It does one sound really well, and then it does the rest of them. All right. Like other things do it better.
It's really very good at pushing an amp. Really, really,
Yeah,
really
but
good.
so is the SD one, and the SD one does it in a nicer way. So is a Klon. So is a Range Master. So is like I could name you 10 pedals that do it better than the DS one.
Nobody does it better.
However, like this is me arguing against myself here. Despite all of that, I don't think if the DS1 hadn't have happened, pedals wouldn't be the same. So I'm putting through the DS1. The DOD 250 is something that I would use. Like it makes things just sound good. It's like real clarity, real sparkle. It's essentially like an MXR distortion plus without the distortion. And I like the distortion plus. Sorry.
See, like the SY1 does so very much. You know, it gives you those synth sounds that could be really, really, really hard to get really easily. They've kind of like nailed all these sort of presets and given you loads of flexibility on it, but really easily. And you can go in there and you can get all of these fantastic sounds. They've optimized it for bass and for guitar from the same pedal, so you don't have to like go and make sure you buy the slightly lighter blue version or something for bass and these sort of things. The Boss SY1 is amazing, absolutely amazing. And the Digitech Whammy, mate, the Whammy has like opened up so much to people, you know, like being able to like go on stage and do drop tunings without having to change your guitar and these sort of things. It has some really cool choruses and these sort of things built into it. And then you've got Killing in the Name of. You name me a song that's famous for having a DS1 on it or a DOD 250.
I mean, like Nirvana. not the DOD 250, but like DS1. There's so many. That's just one band. Like Gilmour has used the DS1.
No. You can't use the excuse of Gilmour has used it because Gilmour's used everything. Yeah, no, it does. I think it's a null point. If someone's used everything, then you know it can be used. Oh, you could probably say that about the Whammy.
Point me to the Gilmour Whammy solo, then, please, Lee.
He featured on this song called "Killing in the Name of."
So, unfortunately for me, Whammy has got another choice. Mark Wall again has chimed in and says Whammy. I've asked him for his second choice. He's Drop is my next pedal, then I'm done. Okay, so he's only chosen one, but it was Whammy, so that's got 2 votes. So that's instantly going through at the moment. If we get any more through on this, then you could swing the tide of this. But currently, we've got a 3-way tie at the bottom with the other 3, and we've got the Whammy peaking up and above at the moment. Cast your votes in now. Like viewers, cast your votes in.
Oh, okay.
Cast your votes in.
So on the Fred Talk podcast that we're on as well. So we've got a vote for the SY1 and the Whammy.
Okay.
So, from Mr. Bimson. So we've both called for
Okay,
the
so that's
same
3-2. And then mine have both got 1 only. Okay.
Yeomans has called the same as you. So DS1 and DOD 250.
Okay, so 3-2-2 at the moment, isn't it? 3-2-2-2, which I suppose doesn't help. What we'll have to do, we'll have to flip a coin.
Anyone?
If we get a tie.
Well, hold on a second. We've still got Mihail, who is on YouTube. He said, thanks for talking about the Mojo Mojo. If you're still watching, dude, which I think you are by looking at the stats, then give us yours. What are your choices, man? Because that could be a good tiebreaker.
Indeed.
Give him a few
Uh,
seconds.
whilst,
I'm
whilst we're waiting, do you want to do
Go on.
Group E as well? So you can like widen the crop,
Yep.
and we'll have both of them on the screen at the same time. So we've got the next round. We've got, this is quite an interesting round actually. This group. So we've got the Ibanez Weeping Demon. Their like multifaceted wah pedal, which it's unfortunate that we don't have Will on at the moment, because he would have absolutely lapped this up because he loves that pedal. So we've got the,
but he's not here, so he can
indeed,
bugger off.
yeah, you snooze, you lose, Will. So we've got the Ibanez Weeping Demon, we've got the MXR Distortion Plus, where you get in. We've got the Tone Bender, and we've got the Range Master. So solar Tone Bender, original makers of the Tone Bender, and then we've got the Dallas Arbiter Range Master. So I think there's clear winners out there. I'd like to put the Distortion Plus through, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go Classic. I'm going to go Tone Bender. I'm going to go Range Master as well, because I think, again, like I look out there at the moment, there's so many treble booster circuits that are based, if not loosely, quite strictly adhering to the tone. The Range Master, and the Tone Bender has come back into popularity with the Boss collaboration. So why would we not?
So I'm sad to say that I think exactly the same. Yeah, and so it doesn't make for very good radio. Does it?
Well, but we might get the listeners come in and go, actually, no, the Weeping Demon is a absolutely delicious pedal, and outvote us. So,
well, do you know what? Everyone I know who's played one has said how good it is. Now, we do already have some votes in for Group E, because some of the guys saw it when we were before we cropped it. So we had Tone Bender and Range Master, obviously, and Range Master and Tone Bender. That's from Bimson and Yeomans. So we're all singing off the same hymn sheet, to be honest. Okay. Mihal's come back to us with DOD 250. He hasn't chosen a
but
second
that's a 3. So at the moment, it's the whammy and the 250 that they're going through. I would not.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't have caught that, but that's quite interesting. Yeah, I think like Group E at the moment is a bit like one of those groups where you've got like Brazil and France in there, and then you've got like Lithuania and like Chile or something. You're like,
dude, we're a global show. don't pick on countries.
No, but in terms of football, the heavy hitters are always France, Brazil, Germany tend to get through quite a bit. As much as we'd like to try and say that England is one of those, we always get booted out in the quarterfinals. And
I think it's quite clear from the last few years that the UK is not quite the thing it bigs itself up to be in any way, shape, or form, whether it be football or whether it just be existence.
Indeed. Right, so Mark's gone for the Weeping Demon. Yeah, he says he loves it, but it's so big.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the big battery compartment on the side of it that I really dislike. And who even uses batteries?
But it's also got the on-off switch for it as well, hasn't it? It's got the stomp switch that you can engage through that. You can engage it through like motion engagement, or you can switch it on and off with a pedal at the side, which is really cool. Like it's an amazing wah pedal. It's massively functional, and I think if we put it in the group with like the Crybaby and with the Vox, what's it? The 857, is it? The old 60s one. If we put it in like.
Oh yeah. I had
if we put it in a group with those, I reckon it'd hold its own. However, because it's going up against the heavy hitters like the vintage boys, it's just been pipped to the post there.
Do you know what's happened here with the Weeping Demon, right? They've designed this wicked wah pedal. They've taken it to the bosses. They've said, this is amazing. Everyone's going to love this. Look at what it can do. It sounds great. Let's put it out. And they've said, where'd you put the batteries? Oh, we haven't put a battery. No one uses batteries anymore. Oh, you've got to put a battery on it. No, it doesn't need a battery. So now it's got this massive war. It's like having the Mona Lisa, but like sticking a fucking cupcake on the side of her face. It's just reminds me of that scene out of Austin Powers where he's like molly 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 molly. It's horrendous just because of that. Everything else about it is proper class. It really looks really nice, and it's got loads of features. They do a version, the WD7JR, but that doesn't have it. But I think it has other things less functionality wise as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dunlop do the Crybaby that's got like the Q function and like a boost in it, like the range, the Q, and like a boost as well. So I mean,
and they do a mini version of that.
They do. We've reported on that. But so far, and we'll leave this open. You know what? We'll leave it open for the rest of this cast. If we get any more votes through, we'll get the votes through. As soon as this cast stops airing, then that's it over. And unfortunately for the podcast listeners, you are too late. If you want to get on this, you're right there, Lee.
Yeah, did you see what Bimson said?
What's that?
If GSY1 doesn't go through, I'm quitting Patreon.
Oh, well, Bimson.
That is bribery. So
it is.
We're not that. Would you say?
That's it.
We're not actually trying to copy FIFA.
Whoa! Allegedly. So
didn't they actually get fined for that stuff? So I don't think it was allegedly. I think it was.
I would
proven.
Still rather not be in the firing line of FIFA's lawyers. Thank you. Any and all opinions about FIFA are Lee's and Lee's alone. Do not come after me, Sue Lee. Sue Lee.
Oh, we got another Sue Lee. Mihail chose MXR Distortion Plus on the other one, which single vote for that. But that's it's the Randy Rhodes pedal. It's the pedal you buy to sound like Randy Rhodes, and then don't.
Yeah. Why am I not as good as Randy Rhodes? Yeah. Pedals don't equal practice. But no, it's legit, and like I say, the DOD 250 is very much based on that, and then without the clipping diodes. And I think Yngwie Malmsteen has got like his own signature DOD 250. So so
all right, I'm going to pull that down into the bottom corner now, so people can still see it. But let's just take it out of the way.
Bimson, get people voting. Like, get your friends on here. Get family. Like, even if you can get like family pets. So just.
What are you talking about? Don't tell people to cheat.
It's not cheating if you can get people to back you up. Like, that's how this works. I'm all for that. So if you want the SY1,
you're like one of those like right wing dads who's like forcing their 16-year-old daughter to go out and vote the way he wants her to vote.
I was very concerned as to where that conversation was going there, Lee. I was very concerned. We got through it. It's okay. Right, let's do a little bit of news because we've got about 15 minutes left of the cast. Let's do a bit of news, and we'll tot up any of the scores later. We'll do like a final tally. But currently, as it stands, we've got the DOD 250 and the Whammy winning. We've also got the Tone Bender and the Ranger Master winning, which, like, Group E went exactly how I thought it would. Group A, absolutely the opposite. I thought probably it would be the DS1 and the SY1, if I was honest. But hey ho, let's keep going. Right, so
I wonder how it would have been if the Distortion Plus was there instead of the DS1.
Well, the Distortion Plus has got one vote, so
Yeah, but would people who voted for the DoD 250 had voted for the Distortion Plus instead?
I don't know. We
I
we
wonder.
will never know unless it happens next year.
Well, we might. If people...
Right. So news. We've got some news. We need to cover this news because it is quite interesting and quite topical. This week there was a massive announcement from Mesa Boogie or Mesa Boogie, depending on if you want to pronounce it properly or not.
I think it's Mesa or Mesa Engineering, and Mesa Boogie is one of their amps.
No. They are branded like Mesa Engineering, but the Mesa Boogie is the brand name as well, because the amps are like the Lone Star, the Mark 525. None of them are called the Boogie. But anyway, we digress. Lee digresses. So they've been taken over. They've been bought by Gibson. So the official stance on this is that it will be business as usual for Mesa. They will be producing the same stuff that they have been producing. They will be doing the same kind of planning and forward thinking that they've been doing. The chap who started the amp company 51 years ago, Randy Smith, he's still staying on. So it's all very much business as usual. However, Gibson see that Mesa are going to join in with Gibson and start Gibson's amp custom shop going, and get that some more credibility and get that to be a thing. So potentially, is it spreading the company of Mesa a bit thin? Mesa. Keep switching back and forth between the two, just in hopes that one of them's right. You know what? I'm gonna stick with Mesa. I'm gonna go with it.
I'll go for Mesa. You go for Mesa. And
let's call the whole thing off. So yeah, 51 years ago, founded by Randy Smith, and he's staying on. However, the moment that it was announced, people were saying, "Oh, Mesa's going to be quality control's going downhill. They're going to be shit. Get rid of them now. The prices are going to bomb." People were likening it to like the CBS takeover of Fender back in like the 70s.
Like 40 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And to tie in with that, you had people putting on the marketplaces and the popular auction, electronic auction sites, an electronic bay for auctions, if you will, putting like quote unquote pre-Gibson Mesa amps and then like hiking the prices up. So like I would I'd say that's like a childish kind of response to it, but
I don't know if it was childish. I think it was just joking. I think it was just humor. I don't think people were saying it. Well, I'm sure there are some Muppets out there who are saying it and meaning it, but most people who were saying it, like I saw Stu say it, and and we know Stu is a Muppet, but
yeah,
he was just saying it to for a laugh. It's. I've got some insights information on this. I know from a friend of a friend who is an artist for Mesa. He hit me up and said that they're over the moon. The guys over at Mesa, he's rep, they're really, really happy, really excited about it. Um, it's an investment, really,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. And one of the points that someone brought up, I don't know who it was, um, but I saw the point and I thought that's a really interesting insight to it. Mesa amps over here have always been astronomically expensive, and it's because the distribution of Mesa has always been like really pricey. They've not had like the big distribution companies doing it, which means that like sending it over to the UK means that rather than it being like 1-2K's worth of amp, it always was three and a half, four, which meant for a lot of people it was a step too far. It was I like the sound of those amps, but I'm not going for that. And I was one of those people where I saw Mesas and I was like, I'm never going to buy one. I might be tempted by one, but I'm never going to buy one because they're just so pricey. Like in comparison to what you could get from Blackstar or Marshall or whoever, like even Fender.
I've always wanted a stereo Mesa rig. Like for the last 10 years now, I've been gagging or gassing, let's say, for a Mesa stereo rig, and there's no way I'm dropping like 5 to 10 grand on a couple of
Absolutely.
amps. I haven't got 5 to 10 grand to drop on a couple of amps. That's why.
Yeah, totally.
So, it's unbelievable. I've got amps that are perfectly good. They're not as good as Messers, but I speak to people who've got Messers, and they're like, we're talking about amps, and they're like, they're the only amps you will ever need. You'll buy them, and that's it. You stop buying amps.
Yeah, but I can't justify dropping 3 grand for just a head, and then you're talking like an extra grand or so on top for the cab. I can't drop it. However, now with Gibson behind them, they're going to get those distribution deals. They're going to be able to like bring that price down. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just remain static. But hopefully for us over in the UK, those amps will start coming down a little bit in price, which means that you'll go, actually, yeah, I might be able to afford this, and it might be getting more amps in people's hands. I mean, the problem I've had with Mesa is that not only have they been like unattainably pricey, they're quite rare in the shops. You'll see like a few of the certain brands, like the dual Rex and the triple Rex, will be in stock. But those aren't the amps that I'm looking for. And as beautiful as those clean tones are, it's like having a supercar and doing the school run in it, because they're so powerful and they're so gainy, and only ever using it for its clean tone. You're like, well, then I might as well just buy a Fender. But like the smaller combos, there are some really quite tasty vintage voice ones that I would really like to try, but I haven't seen one, so I can't try it.
Yeah, the Gibson amps see, the thing about Fender is that they really have got it tied up with acoustics, and the Fender acoustics. They've even got those Acoustasonics, which kind of like bridge the gap between them as well, kind of. And then they've got great guitars, and they've got an absolutely fantastic, legendary amp history. Gibson have got an amp history, but it isn't anywhere near as iconic as Fender. But it's nice for Gibson to be putting their foot back into the into that sort of fight, because they fight with feet, you see. Yeah, it's nice to see that the two big companies are now slightly more even.
Yeah, like there'll be more of a presence within kind of the whole of the market, rather than just Gibson are here for guitars, Fender do everything. But
yeah,
yeah.
Epiphone have some good.
They
good
used
amps.
to. They really don't do them anymore.
No, I meant in the back catalogue sort of thing. But yeah,
they had a few. They had a few little like valve combos, which was supposed to be pretty good. They had like a solid state back as well, which who was it? Sound Control, I think, back when they were a thing, like had rebranded ones under the name Granger, and I actually bought one of those, and I had like this because it was the Epiphone Triggerman. It was like a red 412 stack thing, and it was like it was a solid state head and relatively affordable cab. But it sounded great. Like the clean tone on it was fantastic, but it was heavy as balls because it had this like really big fat DSP block, and it was all in the one side of the amp as well. So it was all kind of really heavy at the one side. But it was a cool little amp. I say little. It was half the size of it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I we can't turn around and say this is a good thing or a bad thing. Well, no, we can say it's a good thing, but we can't turn around and say it's a bad thing until bad things start happening. And I'm sure it I know that they're going to have to be careful, because if they make one little slip up, the authentic crowd are going to be on their cases like no one's business. So we're not Gibson excuses here. That authentic stuff was stupid, and so on and so forth. But I love Gibsons. Got my Gibby here, my Gibbo there. But I tell you what, right? I've loved Gibsons and Messers for a long, long, long time. To the extent when I was probably about 19, I was at an open mic night, and one of my friends there had he was a few years older than us, about 20 years older than us, but he turned up with a Les Paul standard and a Messer dual rec. And I was so excited, and he let me play it, and I was like, oh my God, I was in like gear nirvana. I was absolutely like so excited. That was a long, long, long time ago. But it's my love for them guitars and those amps. The guitars kind of go back to like Zakk Wylde and that sort of thing, and I suppose the amps go to Metallica really for me.
Yeah, iconic.
That's where I first saw them.
But I mean, there's a fair few who've used the who've used the dual Rex as well. I mean, they were quite big in the punk scene as well, like the kind of pop punk of the 2000s. So it's like it spans quite a bit, and I'd be excited to see more. Like if the distribution becomes better, I'd like to see more of them coming over to the UK, so we can actually get to try it. So I think that's the selling point, isn't it?
Fingers crossed.
You get to hear them, you get to try them. You're more likely to go, actually, yeah, I'll find a couple of quid for this. I'll save up. I'll make sure I get this.
Maybe we can sort some out onto Tonepedia, and then everyone can try them.
So I mean that was one of the big bits of news. But also another Gibson thing which stirred up a little bit of controversy as well. They've released, or they've not released a load of details on it at the moment, but they've announced, that they're doing a signature guitar, but they're doing it for Rick Beato of Rick Beato Music on YouTube. Don't know if have you seen Rick Beato's stuff? So he does a fair few YouTube videos. He does a series called "What Makes This Song Good." So what makes, like, he'll take apart like a classic song and he'll play some of the bits of it and go through the music theory behind it. He's done some some longer talks with Rhett Shaw, and he features on his channel like a fair bit. He's quite big. Like I think he's got 2 million ish subscribers at the moment. So he's quite big in terms of like the guitar YouTube fame.
It's got a few more
One
than
or
us.
two, one or two, yes,
I'm sure there's a bit of overlap, aren't there?
possibly,
Like
yes.
you
So,
maybe.
some of our listeners, yeah, some of our listeners might. Yeah, I mean, like, there's some quite informative stuff there. He's a guy who's been around. He knows a fair bit. But he always like shows this double cut Les Paul Jr. Um,
Oh, hang on. Is he the American chap that knows everyone?
Possibly, I don't know, grey haired guy.
Yeah, no, I do know who you mean. Yeah, I have. I've watched him quite a bit
Yeah,
actually. I think he's done interviews with some of the guys that I've spoken with occasionally. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
possibly.
yeah. I know who you mean.
He's but he's like in and of his own right. He's a very accomplished musician. He knows his beans, and he produces like pretty decent quality YouTube material quite often. So like he's earned his way in the YouTube land, but like I say, he's got this old 60s, 70s. I don't know. Let's have a look, see if I've written it down. Yeah, so it's a double cut TV Yellow Junior essentially. Like it's a vintage one, and he swears by it and like says it's the guitar that speaks to him the most. And Gibson are now doing like well, they've announced that they're going to be doing a signature. So like,
Okay, so why is it controversial?
so like people have been like kicking back against it, saying like, oh, why does this guy deserve a signature? He's not a touring musician. He doesn't go out and play on stages. Why should he be getting a signature? Will they just hand it out to anyone these days?
I've got a point.
Go on.
No one's going out and gigging anyway.
Yes, good point. But that's not going to last forever. And historically, it's been like the signature instruments have been put in front of the people who will play that in front of crowds. However, like my argument for this is the reason it hasn't happened for YouTube people much. I mean, you've got like all the Chapper's endorsements, and he's endorsed a fair few YouTube artists, but it hasn't really happened with a lot of the big companies. So it's kind of one of the big boys getting on board. Like YouTube has only really kind of within the last 5 years got to a point where this has been a viable thing. The internet is still relatively like a relatively new way of musicians putting out content and performing and getting people to watch them. So where the only way before, like prior to the internet, was getting an artist who would play in front of a crowd of people. Nowadays, these artists, whether they're playing music or not, they're still getting this product in front of however many people, and they can show the analytics for this. They can almost kind of give the data that backs up this is the amount of people who are seeing this. So for me, it makes absolute sense for Gibson.
It's an absolute no-brainer. It really is. Do you know? Do you know? Okay, right. We doing this sort of thing, such as the Facebook groups and the YouTube and these sort of things and the podcasts. We have stepped into the shoes that the guitar magazine stepped out of. I know they've kind of stepped up their game and they've gone on to producing regular content on websites
Yeah.
such as like Gear News and these sort of things, which is great. And you know, some of these magazines are still doing well, but people don't buy written media anymore. They like to go and get it instantly. They come to Pedalboards of Doom, and if there's news about pedals, it's on there straight away. we do a weekly news slot. This guy is doing something. He's drawing in 2 million subscribers.
Yeah.
The dude deserves it as... Mate, I'm a boss artist. Somehow that happened.
Yeah.
Who cares? If we're working hard within the industry and people recognize us and they see us and they recognize the gear that we use, then that's an in for Gibson, that's an in for Fender, that's an in for all of these companies. And companies like Boss and Fender and Gibson are seeing that, and they're jumping on it. And if they're turning, they know a lot more about it than some jumped up know nothing on the internet like me. So if they're doing it and it works, then it must be.
Yeah, and this is paving the way for like potentially how it's going to be in the future. How you might find the rosters on Fender's page and the rosters on the Gibson artist page might be a mix of like touring musicians and content creators, because those are the people who are using the instruments, whether or not they're using them to sing songs or whether or not they're using them to like team or I don't know, like explain certain concepts behind guitar gear. Whether or not they're doing that, it's still getting those instruments in front of people's view. And these are the people that those people are watching. They're looking up to. By all means, do it.
Our good friend Yeoman's just added a little tidbit of news here that we should because he has asked very kindly if we can mention it. He said, "Can we just mention that the new Dean V that comes in a vintage trans cherry and it's as classy as
it is." Yeah, I shared that with him. I did.
Did you?
I reckon because we're past the hour. It's looking like we've got the podcast. We're going to wrap it up. I think we haven't got any more votes in, so the votes are as follows. We've got the Dodd 250 and the Whammy making it through in Group A. We have got the Tone Bender and the Rangemaster in Group E making it through. Before we wrap up properly, we're going to give a shout out to our Patreon backers. That is Mr. Andrew Bimson, Mr. Adam Yeomans, Mr. Doug Christ, Mr. Joseph Richardson, Mr. Hugh G. Rection, Mr. Ben Fletcher, and Mr. Brian Gower of the Tone Jerks podcast. I did for some reason I didn't mention Yeomans of Chev Tone, Doug Christ of 37 Effects, Joseph Richardson of Abstraction Band, and Fletcher of Fletcher Pickups. I didn't mention those. If you want to find me online, it is Budget Pedal Chap at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube is the home to the No Talk All Tone series and the Pickpocket series. Lee, you are
yes, I am.
Facebook, Instagram, and that's pretty much.
And other places, I think.
Indeed, YouTube. Yes.
Since we're live on there now, I was like, I'm sure there's something else. Do you know what? I completely forgot to talk about my new jam pedal, but we'll have to keep that for next week.
Right, so from myself, Mr. Budget Pedal Chap, from Lee, it will be a tatty bye. Good night for this week.
Goodbye, everyone.